Health is an investment in yourself. Every day, you got to treat your body kind of like a stock, right? So the time and the energy that you spend towards your health, you actually try improving yourself and your health. Like you go to the gym, you're active, you get up off the couch, you start, I wouldn't say dieting, but eating healthier, watching what you put in your body. It's all a part of like your health, right? And this goes into mental health as well. Taking care of your mental state, putting yourself in non-toxic relationships with people, surrounding yourself with positive people, people that aren't really like those people that when you hang out with them you feel like your energy is just completely gone. Stay away from those people. When you do, I feel like that'll be a lot better for your mental state and your mental health. So your physical health and your mental health are really, really important. And when you invest time into, and when you spend time towards these things, it's like an investment in yourself. And like what I was saying before I stopped, is your body, your mind, it's kind of like a stock, right? The time and the effort you put in is the money. So you put time and effort into improving your health of your mental state, your physical state, whatever, and you're investing into yourself. And the thing that most people don't understand is that if you can get your health on point, everything else will follow through. Because if you're healthier, you will feel like you'll feel more productive, I feel like. Now, obviously, this isn't the same for everybody, but like I said, if you're taking care of your mental state, you're not really want to be as lazy as much. You take care of your health, you might look better. Usually when you're watching what you eat, you're moving, you're doing what your body's supposed to be doing, you're taking care of your immune system, you'll look better. And the thing about relationships, it causes a lot of stress when you're in super toxic relationships. And I'm not saying that your relationship's gonna be perfect, but like I said before, those people that it feels like right when you hang out with them and you're done, you feel like everything's just drained and like you just don't want to be there anymore or whatever. Those are the people you probably should stay away from. But the reason why it's so important to be in these positive relationships, whether it's friendships or whatever, is because it reduces the amount of stress. And when you put so much stress on yourself, and most of that stress is going to come from relationships, I think, for most people, and work and stuff like that. But anyways, when you have so much stress in your life, it will show up in your face. I'm not saying you will never be able to escape completely from stress. Not what I'm saying. But don't put yourself in situations to where like you can easily get out of it and you just choose not to. Like I said, with like relationships with people, friendships or whatever, you're choosing to be in that relationship with that person. You're choosing to be friends with that person. Nobody's forcing you to be friends or, be with that person. Nobody's forcing you to do that. That is your decision. So if you're consciously making a decision to be with them when you know that they're not really good for your life and you don't even like them anyways, then why are you ruining your health over it? That doesn't make any sense. For once in your life, put yourself first in the situation and then go from there. But like I said before, when you take care of your health, when you take care of your physical health, when you take care of your mental health, it will all like kind of roll through. Like it's like a snowball effect. One little snowball goes down the mountain and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger as it goes down, right? So when you attack your health, when you start improving it, you start investing in yourself, you start investing in your health, you start taking yourself seriously, everything else will follow through. But that is the main thing, at least I believe. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to sit here and say I know the answer. I don't. But that's what I believe. I think that if you take care of your health, that's like the first block. And that builds a very strong foundation for everything else that comes through. Because that's the two main things that's important for your goals or whatever. Health is is one of the most important things. And I think people don't really understand that. You want to be rich. You want to do great things. That's going to take a lot of mental strength. And if you take care of your mental state, that's a good thing. And that will keep you in that productive zone. That will keep you in the high energies. If you stop taking care of your health, you'll notice sometimes you'll feel tired. Like if you get a lack of sleep, you feel tired. When you eat the wrong things, you might feel exhausted for some reason. You don't really feel energy getting added into your body. You feel like it's getting lost. And it will show. So that's why I say that health is so important. And I'm not going to sit here and say I'm perfect. I'm not. I definitely am not. I have a lot of improving to do on my own health, but the first step is understanding that you are not taking care of yourself to the best of your ability, and don't feel bad about it, but actually make an effort to change something about your routine. Start taking care of, your body, mental state, two most important things. And honestly, I think you take care of your body, then the mental will also kind of be like a rolling effect, because when you're healthy in your like physique, when you're healthy in your body, you're going to the gym, you're sweating, you're running, whatever it is that you're doing, you're being active for some portion of the day, you're taking care of yourself, and that will lead into your brain. And then you eat the right foods, that's going to go into your brain. You're getting the vitamins you need, the minerals you need, the nutrients. That's important. That's why schools will tell you, like, before you have those state tests or whatever, they'll tell you, make sure you eat a good meal the day before, or make sure you have a good breakfast before this test. And most people don't take it seriously, but that's the truth behind it. When you give yourself the nutrients your body needs, it makes it so much easier to focus. It makes it so much easier to pay attention. It makes it so much easier to process things. But when you neglect that, you take your physique, you take your body for granted, you start taking your brain for granted. You start forgetting things very easily. It's very hard to concentrate. You have like brain fog, you don't remember anything. It all leads back to health. And what you might not realize now is your health is affecting your goals. So if you can get your health in check, it makes it so much easier to attack your goals. It makes it so much easier to focus, process things, and just make the right decisions. If you're drinking a lot of alcohol, that's an obvious one. That's going to throw you off your game. It's going to throw you off your goals. It's going to throw you off of everything that you want to do with your life. I'm not saying that you got to be a perfect goody two-shoes and never go out and drink and never go party. Like, I know a lot of people on social media, and they like hate on partying. I don't think partying is a bad thing, to be honest. It's the drugs and the alcohol that come with it. Now, some people might be like, well, what's the point of partying if you can't do drugs? Well, that's your own problem. But in my honest opinion, I think partying is fun. But you can party without, taking pills and, drinking a shit ton of alcohol. You don't have to do all that to party. I find joy, like, I'm not going to sit here and lie and be like, oh yeah, I've been to 50,000. No, I haven't. I've been to like one, and it got busted within the first like 5 seconds. So I don't have much experience. But I will say this. I didn't do drugs. I didn't do alcohol the 5 minutes I was there. But interacting with people, just listening to music and just hanging out with people, meeting new people, you don't know what kind of connections you can meet through these areas. You really don't. You can make connections anywhere. So going to a social event kind of like that can open up opportunities. Now, am I saying that you going to a high school house party is going to open up some major opportunity for you? Probably not. But, there's always a chance that some crazy thing can happen. Like, I'm just saying. But what I am saying, though, is partying is not necessarily a terrible thing to do. You're going out, you're socializing, build social skills is a very important thing if you want to get, be successful. The only way you're going to be able to be successful in life, especially financially, is you have to be good with people to an extent. Even if you're an introvert, you have to know how to communicate with people. It's like the main thing. Like, who are you selling to? People. You're not selling to the beaver down the street eating away at his dam. You're not selling to a beaver. You're selling to people. So communication skills is very important for that matter. Obviously, it depends on what kind of career you want to get into, but I'm still saying, even just like if you're trying to get an opportunity in, say, a job that doesn't require any communication whatsoever, if you can network, it makes it so much easier to get that job. So once again, social skills, it's important. So I'm just saying, partying is not necessarily the worst thing in the world. Now, on social media, they'll be like, you'll see videos all the time, these people are out partying and all this shit, and I'm in here grinding. That's great and all. That is. But partying can be a good thing too. If you lock yourself in your room for your whole life and you don't have a touch of humanity whatsoever, and all you know is your family, you don't talk to anybody at all, you're going to be a very awkward person when it comes to meeting strangers. and that makes your life a whole lot more harder, especially when it comes to the successful side. So putting yourself in situations that are uncomfortable, like socializing with strangers, going to parties, when you don't know anybody, it's a very stressful situation. It's very scary, but at the same time, don't look at partying as this whole piece of shit thing. It's not the partying aspect that's terrible, in my opinion. It's the lack of health in that situation. It's because, drugs, shit ton of alcohol, people get on drugs, they get on alcohol, and then fights happen, and people get hurt, and then lack of sleep, shit like that. But I mean, your life isn't gonna be perfect. It's not. You're gonna have those times where you take your health for granted. It's the thing about being human. Like I said, I'm not perfect either. No, nobody is. You're gonna take your health for granted sometimes, but it's important to limit that and make sure you take your health not for granted majority of the time, and if you can, all of the time. If you can do that, then that's good for you. But all I'm saying is, for the people that do mess up, do take their health for granted sometimes, don't get so down yourself, because when you do that, it really doesn't do anything good for you. It just makes it so that you steer further away from trying to be healthy, and you just fall back into your bad habits. It happens to me. It's still happening to me today. Like, I'll be like, oh man, I didn't do that thing this morning, and then the rest of the day is chalked. So, you gotta be smart about your decisions. And like I said, health is an investment. Your body is a stock. The time and effort you put into it is the money that you're putting into that stock. So look at it that way. Every time you put time and effort in, you're watching your food, you're eating the right foods, you're going to the gym, you're being active. It's the time and effort you're putting in, and that makes you healthier, which improves everything else in your entire life. Health is probably the number one important thing. So other than that, though, health is an investment, and as always, life isn't too short to make a change.